Last week I headed out to Bowfell, a mountain I haven't climbed before, but the weather was atrocious, so I got rained off. This is my hobby. I don't necessarily want to spend the day soaking wet, but I arrived back at Bowfell for take 2, and it is raining. Last time I was here, the rain was horrendous, and I was packed a little bit lighter than I am today, so it didn't turn out too well, but I'm back today. I packed more heavily. I could definitely feel it on my back already. And would you believe it? It is already raining. Only very, very slightly, but it is raining. So we'll see how this goes. Today's route is about 14 kilometers. It'll have an ascent of about 1,000 meters and just the tiniest bit of scrambling. That is, as we go over Crinkle Crags, there is a place called Bad Step, which is a climb up about 4 meters, but it's not difficult and it can be bypassed. Well, that's pretty amazing. Taking a look at this waterway now in comparison to how bad it was last week when I got rained off. I think last week only 4 days has passed between that hike and this one, but my gosh, it's certainly a lot drier today. This time I came out, I lost my gloves, and today I've just realised I've lost my cap. Now thankfully, whilst my gloves were black, my cap's bright red, and there it is. It's very carefully go down these rocks again for the second time this week. I mentioned a few tips for staying safe in my last video about handling the weather and how to deal with solo hiking without it being too dangerous. And something that I want to point out this time is I've just dropped my bag up there on the hill because I'm going down to get my cap and then I'll be going straight back up, so there's no need to haul that weight. But I'm now without equipment, so I've only got what I'm carrying. And something that I would like to point out there is my sat phone is attached to me and not my backpack, because whilst it's a relatively rare thing to lose your pack, it is feasible in a fall that it would happen, or something like this where I've put my bag down temporarily. I want to make sure that I've always got my satellite communicator with me. So if I fall down here and I hurt myself and I can't move, it's no good if my SOS device is at the top of the hill if I'm at the bottom. Oh, right, back up we go. Oh. Okay, so I'm back at my pack now. I mentioned that I carry my sat phone on my belt, not in my pack, in case for some reason I get separated from my pack. And I guess I should mention a couple of other things they might want to consider. At least consider keeping on your person instead of in your pack if there is any chance you might get separated. One is your emergency device, so your sat phone. But another couple to consider would be water. So I'm carrying a water bladder. It is in my pack. Maybe you want to put a small water bottle on your belt kit. And another thing is a small first aid kit. Okay, this one's on me. In a previous video, I did say I would get a small carabiner so that I could clip things like my gloves and my hat to my waist belt for those times where the weather is changeable and I'm taking some things like that on and off regularly. Losing kit once, that's bad luck. Losing kit twice, shame on me. Okay, I'll get a carabiner and I'll secure my kit properly. Well, this certainly looks different to just a few days ago when I was last here. It is also safe to say, of course, I'm a lot drier than I was the last time I was here. Definitely a lot drier. So presuming you're lucky enough to avoid the bad weather, this is a really good route. It offers cute animals, waterfalls, and a pretty gentle ascent up to the Crinkle Crags. This initial climb that I'm doing, up to about 700 meters for Great Knot, as you can see, it's relatively gentle the whole way. So the weather today is supposed to be dry. We've had a little bit of rain, but it is, blue skies now. It looks pretty good. But it is also supposed to be much colder than it was the last time I was here. I saw one weather report claiming the summit would have a feels like temperature of -1. And as we progress here now, definitely feels colder, and it's definitely just the wind chill. When the wind dies down, it feels okay, but colder today. If you're looking at getting more into hiking, this might be a great route. A 1,000-meter ascent is certainly not nothing, especially for somebody like me who spends 14 hours sitting at a desk most days. And it's a relatively easy route from a navigation point of view. As you can see, I'm just following along the waterway. And once we get up to Crinkle Crags, there's a little bit of a scramble, but nothing too challenging. It's the first summit of the day. 696. This is Great Knot. So we've got the Crinkle Crags to do, and then on to Bowfell. But it's a pretty good start. Great view. So now we're making our way up to Crinkle Crags, and I have mentioned a couple of times a scramble. You're about to see me climb it, but to give you an idea of just how simple this is, you'll notice walking alongside me is a Lakeland Terrier, and that tiny adorable doggo also went over bad step. So if a tiny dog can do it, you can do it too. Okay, that's one of the weirdest motivational things I've ever added to a video, but honestly, it's not so bad. And in the style of a true YouTube vlogger, I actually had to climb bad step twice because, of course, I left my camera behind to catch the footage of me climbing the bad step, so I had to go back down to retrieve my camera. The climb wasn't bad at all today, but in the wet it might be a little bit more slippery, so gloves and a helmet are always an option. And if you're going to get more into scrambling, getting hold of a climbing helmet is probably a good idea. Oh, then go and do Striding Edge, because that's like my favourite scramble. I've done a video about Striding Edge. It's really good. I've climbed that route 3 times this year because it is an absolute favourite. Entering from stage right is a second Lakeland Terrier. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you, the dog didn't change colour. It's a different dog. But once you've passed bad step, the rest of the Crinkle Crags are pretty easy. It's a little bit up and down. It's rocky underfoot, but it's not difficult at all. But what is somewhat imposing is when you get to the end of the Crinkle Crags and you see Bowfell. You do have to descend down a little bit from the Crinkle Crags before you can ascend Bowfell. And that is about a 180-metre ascent, but it looks way worse than it is. It's pretty much stone steps or scree the whole way up, and it's not so bad. If you are genuinely out of steam at this point though, you can turn right here and head straight back down towards the old Dungeon Guild where we parked. But even if you are feeling pretty tired at this point, give Bowfell a go. You may as well tick it off whilst you're here, right? It's a 902-metre mountain, and at this point you're at 720 metres. You're already nearly there. Give it a go. And that's it. We've ticked off another summit. We've done the Crinkle Crags, we've done Bad Step, we've summited Bowfell. It is all downhill from here. You climb down from Bowfell the same way that you went up, but take a left at the crossroads. And then you're following alongside the waterfalls the whole way down. There is an alternative descent known as the Band, which runs parallel to this route, but this route has waterfalls. And it takes you all the way back down to the watercourse that we were walking alongside earlier. So we're heading back past the farm and the sheep, and please excuse me for a second whilst I pause to look at the sheep. But the lambs have got their horns coming in, so they've got these tiny little horns, and it's adorable. We pass through the farmyard with the gentlest guard dog that I've ever come across. Back over the bridge, with the water looking much calmer than it was the last time I was here. And we're back at the car park. You could stop in the beer garden if you needed a drink by now. But we are just here for the summit, so it's home time for us.